Right.
Let's see. So I'm going to resume recording. There we go. So I'll start with giving an example of how I use Vim. I use it extensively in Python, but I also use it with like Bash and stuff like that. Basically, any type of file extension that I spend a lot of time with. I have plugins that I use to edit that. So like jumping right into it, if I were to edit a Python file, I put in like temp.py is what I'd want to edit, and then I have what we call snippets. So one of my snippets is shebang, and if I'm in Vim, it goes from it pulls from my Python snippets, and I press tab, and it'll ask what type of snippet I want, and usually I just press one. But I could do like an AWS Bato 3 boilerplate or a standard in script minimal that basically pulls in from standard in. Um, but I um, when I do that, it has a set of pre-canned snippets that I can run, and it starts me off with the doc string for the script. So do something temp simple, whatever, and yeah. So then I could do things like just start writing the script. Like one of the things that I use a lot of times is main. So I type in main, and you see there it has an autocomplete for the snippet. But I tab that out, and it sets up the main stuff for me. So the main function block, and then if name equals main, call that. So I could do something like print hello world and save it. And also there's some linters running in the background. So if I were to like have blank spaces, um, it's going to tell me like what line it's on and give me a little indicator saying like, there's something wrong here. Um, the other cool thing is that we have things with, I think, Deoplete and the Jedi plugin that allows us to do things like import a lot of different packages. Let's see. Um, so like do import random. So now I can do print random, and then you have your autocomplete stuff here. Let's see. Let's do rand int. And then what we got A to B, so do a random integer between 0 and 100. Um, Also, something that I use is I have a custom hook that if I press Shift capital R, it'll pipe this through a program to run it interactively. So basically, I don't have to go through and do Python 3 temp py. Um, I just do Shift R, and it runs it inside of a block here where it says begin input, end output. It gives me how long it takes the script to run, and then you have like the lines. So I can exit out of that and run it interactively without having to exit. Um, so also it has, spelling and stuff like that. Um, so if you do like like, I don't know, some weird version of special, you could do control Z and then uh, like fix the spelling. That's an internal Vim thing though. It's kind of cool. Um, so I have a lot of different custom options. I can answer questions about what they are, but I figured I wanted to get like a minimal like Vim IDE type environment set up in a Docker container, just to show what that would look like. Maybe get to a point to where we could do some snippets, and we can use some of the features that you saw here. Now, before I go any further, does anybody have any questions?
No, you're good.
Nope. Looking good.
All right, cool. All right, so I pasted a link in the channel for this how-to on Linode. Oops. I'll repaste it so we can follow along. There's a link further up that has some of the plugins that I use, and a link to the NeoVim site. But I'll just paste them in the Linux chat room. So let's just go ahead and get started by installing the NeoVim with that link that I showed you. We'll just do it interactively here. So I'm going to run an Ubuntu Docker container. As soon as I exit, it'll destroy itself. So obviously none of these things will persist, but this will be good from a demo perspective so you can see what it looks like from nothing to something. So we'll do apt update, get some of the packages going, and I think that Ubuntu has NeoVim available. So we'll do apt search NeoVim. Yep. We'll go apt install. We'll do NeoVim, and we'll also do the Python 3 NeoVim. It has a Ruby NeoVim client for if you're so inclined. Let's see, and Lua. So let's go ahead and get those started.
Is NeoVim the base version of Vim that you normally use when you set up a new machine?
Yeah. So there's Vi, right, which is the old school Unix, like no frills editor that doesn't even have color and stuff like that. And then there's Vim, which is Vim improved, which is what most people are familiar with. And then NeoVim takes it a step further, and because Vim is kind of it's not, its development cycle isn't as current as a lot of release cycles that you'll see out in the wild with software and whatnot. And there's a lot of bells and whistles with the way that the terminal is handled and stuff like that NeoVim has started to build in. So it's kind of coming, to its third iteration, by Vim and now NeoVim in regards to things that are kind of current. It's a Vim-like environment, but it's kind of a hard fork of Vim. All right, so let's see here. We'll also do apt install. It says it wants some other dependencies here. We'll install a couple others.
Does it have a Vim RC file similar? Does NeoVim pretty close?
Except it's a lot of as a matter of fact, all the options that Vim normally takes, NeoVim seems to honor. I'm able to write Vim scripts, and NeoVim consumes them just fine. So
okay,
it's not terribly different in that regard. You can port all your customizations and stuff like that. I think pretty easily.
So what are you drinking today, there, Steve-O?
Michelob Ultra.
Oh, okay. I'm still on happy drugs. I just had a nice, the surgery's only a couple days ago, so I'm hitting
Oh,
Aquafina.
oh, geez. Yeah. Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah.
So with NeoVim, it usually wants a directory called it stores its stuff in config nvim, and the usually what a lot of people would do is they'll link the config nvim init vim to the vimrc, which is what they're usually
Oh, okay.
yeah.
That's
So
cool.
like what vimrc is basically what this init vim is. Um, uh, let me, oh, not my home directory. Where is bad link? Let's see. Win s dot config and vim init.vim vimrc. Oh, that's because that doesn't exist. Okay, cool. Second thing that we want to do is do a curl of this program to local share nvim site autoload plug. Although I usually, let's see, local share. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just follow the instructions here. This lady, June Gunn, is like an amazing programmer. She's the one that wrote FZF. If you guys haven't heard of it, or you want a demo of what it does, I can show you later. But she also wrote Vim Plug, which is the plugin manager for Plug. Basically, it's kind of like Wes. What was the plugin? Pathogen. There we go. Yeah. I have to install curl. Let's curl. Remember, we're in a pretty basic image here. All right. Now we're going to launch nvim. So now to install the NeoVim plugins, we're going to do pip3 install user NeoVim. Okay, and then in our vimrc or in our, oops, holy crap, I didn't know I had an emoji picker. Will that come up? So it has some basic plugins that it's saying to call. So we're going to start our Vim plugin like this. So now we do nvim and we do plug install.
Oh, so
This
is pretty much the same as like Vim, using the same plugins and stuff, plug install and all that.
It uses a lot of the same plugins. It can.
Oh, okay,
absolutely.
that's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. So, oops. Let's do update remote plugins. And let's see, what is it grumpy about? try installing Python 2 and see if it's grumpy about that. All right, we're going to do some real world Googling here. Let's do this. Let's do plug clean. Let's remove that complete manager. So basically you remove the complete manager thing and it'll do the rest. So let's see. That seemed to fix that initial issue. So ulti snips and vim snippets is installed. Let's also, looking at my own reference here, install some other plugins. Or you know what? It might have some native Python support. Let's see here. So let's do temp.py. Oh, yeah. So snips actually seems to work out of the box. When I did shebang and tab, ulti-snips picked that up as a generic Python snippet. And I'm sure we could do stuff like def. Yeah, that works out of the box. So it seems like it has its own like set of snippets that it could use here out of the box. Let's see, let's do class. Yep. Let's see. So if I were to do import and let's see. So we don't have autocomplete yet, right? So let's get autocomplete running. Let's save this. Let's also make sure that our Python version is Python 3. Type. Okay. So that won't work, actually. We need to, if we do user ben m, we want to do Python 3 instead of Python. Let's go ahead and make this executable. All right, that works. I'll be right back, guys.
So, Darren, recovering well from surgery?
Yeah. It I took a little header on my mountain bike and fractured the right clavicle.
Oof.
And a few years earlier, I fractured my clavicle at Fort Ord at a road race in Monterey. So it'd been bothering me. So I figured they had to go in and fix one. Might as well fix the other one at the same time.
True enough. I've heard clavicle breaks are like crazy painful.
They are. They're pretty bad. It's at the beginning. And when you plate them, it cuts the recovery time in half. So that you walk around for the first 3 weeks, the bone, it's like this. And then when they break, they just sort of let it just however it goes back together. And then you just walk around with a sling. So they straighten it out and put the plate in there. So it's all good.
So
yeah, the happy pills help.
You broke both of your clavicle?
I broke my right one last week. But I broke my left one it was probably 4 years ago at a race in Monterey. So, and it bothered me. You know, it's never good to leave them in there. This is throughout all the racing I've done. This is my 5th broken clavicle. So, it's been, you sort of get used to it, but it's nice kicking back. What was that?
That I don't want to get used to it.
Yeah. Oh, this one too. I knew immediately. I'm laying on the ground in the dirt because I was with my mountain biking buddies, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No." The clavicle just snapped.
Oh.
So that was an ordeal just getting out of there, man. But it's all good. It got me to see Steve-O and get some Lennox, man. This is like I'm having flashbacks. I'm sitting here watching you, Steve, go, and I'm like going, how much more advanced technology has been from the Fosung days. I just got a container here. Let me fire this up. Let me install this and that. And you're just ripping right along where
none
of that. Usually it was install fest. Hey, get your CD, boot up.
Oh man, yeah, that was the those are the days.
Steve has always been a good presenter.
Yeah, he really is.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. So we're gonna get some Vim or some of the Jedi stuff, the Python stuff set up. So that's gonna involve Jedi Vim, Deoplete Jedi. Let's see, what other things do we need? We don't need FCF. Don't need that. We're going to get the Deoplete base. Synastic is what we use, or what I use for linting. So we use Flake 8 for that. And we'll just go with that. So now that I added the plugins that I have available, I fire up NVim again, and then do plugin install. And it'll go through and it'll start the install process here. Do it again, and then we'll do plugin. What was it? Plug? Was it remote?
Upgrade remote or something. Maybe I'll just tab complete.
There we go. Upgrade remote plugins. There we go. So there's that. And let's also do an apt install pilot. Why does it care about my geographic location? All right.
Making a profile around
Let's do Pacific. Okay. Let's see if it runs out of the box. Oh, did it complete that? Yep.
Hey.
So let's see. Press tab or dot here. It should bring up an autocomplete menu. There we go. Maybe that just took a while. I think it was firing up its background stuff. So now we do random int and 0 to 100.
Sorry.
All right. There we go. Let's see. Let's do.
Diesel.
Let's do synastic checks. So let's try. Oh, there we go. So synastics checking, kicking in. So it wants a doc string. And for what it's worth, when I write Python, I'm actually like, I try to write perfect PEP 8. So all the things that a lot of people like try to disable that they find irritating, like line length and stuff like that, I actually try to adhere with. So I don't have to worry about PEP, complaining about it. And it's interesting, even though I fully comply with, like, I don't disable any pilot rules, that I still find like external checkers will find stuff and whatnot, and I'll kind of take those with the, as they come, with a grain of salt. But yeah. So here's a doc string. It looks like, and this is all native snippet stuff. So like when I typed in doc and hit tab, it was part of the already ulti snips library that's available. So please, deep stuffs. Yeah, so let's see. Let's do synastic info. So it saw that I installed Pilot, and that's what it's using to do the checking. So if I do something like have a line with space, it should complain. Trailing white space.
Cool.
Let's see. So customizing snippets. Let's see. Snip. Going back to my the snips. Oh, sorry, my cat lays on my keyboard sometimes and screws everything up. All right. Let's look at my ulti snippets config. So I have a lot of customizations. But so Control L is list snippets. I have an edit. Map E Alt. Okay. So if I do Alt the snippets edit, I can add snippets. So if I had a snippet trigger, let's see, let's call this foo, and does foo stuff. So I could put like this does stuff, insert variable. And then I want it to actually end here. Dot zero is and this has its own syntax, and you can actually write inline Python to do iterations and stuff over the snips. I mean, the ulti snip stuff is super powerful. You can write code around it. You can do all sorts of different things. But I'll tell you what this is going to do is when I type in foo, it's going to insert this block of text. It's going to insert this does stuff, insert variable, and then it's going to drop me in this part right here where it says hello world. And then when I press tab again, it'll drop my cursor at the very last part at the beginning of the line instead of the end. So I'm gonna go back and type foo and see how highlighted hello world. I could go hello foo and oops, oh, let's see, hello bar. Let's try this again. We do foo, we do hello bar, and I do usually tab will set me up at the beginning. I think it's because we don't have tab set up, but you kind of get the gist of how the Ultisnip stuff works.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I have a hotkey for my Python stuff. Basically, if I hit Shift R or Shift E, it'll execute the Ultisnips. So I have all sorts of different things. Like, for instance, some of my Ultisnips, like I have the shebang minimal, and it'll allow me to quickly build my scripts. So if I do, okay, I want to do main, and then I'll just leave that as a stub. But I also want to put in a command line args. So I want to do a really simple arg parse. So, you know, I'll do arg parse, and then I'll be like, okay, you know, main is going to have args. And this argument's going to be foo help. And then I'll print args.foo. Oops. Got some linting stuff here. What's it complaining about? It doesn't like that. It's all caps. It's okay. Should take care of it. So now when I execute temp, it's going to say it needs an argument foo, and I'll go hello world. Or if I execute temp with H, it'll give me the positional arguments. I can go in and, you know, like with the snippets, like the other day, Wes was asking me about, or I was mentioning to Wes about some of the args, but I have arg, which is single, which is a single snippet. And I have all the different types of args that I normally use: string, integer, choices, whatever. And so if it's good from like a memory perspective, so I don't have to remember all this code. If I'm like, oh, you know, I'm probably going to use this arg or this particular, you know, thing at some point, I'm going to use this argument as true. You know, I hit 7, and it's going to give me like a layout of what that's going to look like, and I just like incorporate it into my code. And my snippet library is probably one of my more valuable pieces of configuration that I have on my machine.
Is your library? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Does your library? Do you have it like broken down, like by languages? Like if you're going to be scripting mainly one day, doing Bash scripts, or writing Python or C?
Yeah. So my snippets are all under my snips. And this is them. So.
Oh, okay.
I have stuff for C. You know, I mean, like Ruby, Go,
yeah,
PHP,
okay.
Perl, and these are all my custom ones. So these aren't the like built-in stuff. These are all things that I've used. You know.
Yeah, I saw Puppet there. So yeah, you got to. So just loads the snippet at the time that you just call it in when you need it? Or
Yeah, yeah, and it does it based on what your file extension is too. So if I'm doing, bash,
Oh, okay, I got you.
so if I'm doing, like, foo.sh, when I do shebang, it's, like I have simple zero and whatever, I have a standard set of bash options that I usually like to do, like pipe fail, and set the, um, set the arguments to basically fail on errors, both in pipe fail, and I set my IFS variable to be, uh, new lines or
Yeah,
tabs.
gotcha. I didn't think
Um,
about. Yeah, just look at the extension and it'll know a lot of it
yeah,
that you need to
yeah.
pull in.
Like, let's see, I think, how do I don't think I mapped, let's see. Trying to list my snips, I usually just go to it if I really have to like figure it out. But like, here's one, like a usage. If I want to do like a bash script with the usage doc, you just type usage and then hit tab out. And then when I change stuff like args, if I go foo, it'll change it in other places, right? Because of the way it's referenced. Let's see, you said, what other cool ones do I have? Oh, yeah, comments are big for me. So a lot of times when I'm doing stuff, I'll go, that got overridden. bcom. So if I'm doing, com is like a kind of a common way I like comment out blocks of code. Bcom, like, let's see. Oh, here's one that I use a lot. Like if I have a yes no function that I like to use regularly, I just type in yn, and this has like a pretty good canned yes no thing that will loop until it gets a valid
Oh yeah,
extension.
man, that's a time saver right there. Boom.
Yeah. So I use it as kind of like a common code repository too. You could go a little nuts with it, in regards to how much stuff you put in there, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't use, but there's also a lot of things that I do pretty regularly. Like this main thing that I have in Python, and then building like things from args and whatnot. Like I can build sub commands and have simple arg parse types. Because I've used it for a lot of bash or scripting with arguments and whatnot. But yeah, cool little thing with the WinR thing that when you see me interactively run this in the terminal, it takes a second because Zoom's a bit of a pig. This whole thing right here, where it runs it interactively, so I don't have to break out and run the script. That's a part of the Vim config. Let's see here.
Yeah, man, that's golden right there.
Yeah. Where is that? includes. These are all custom Vim scripts that I have, by the way, that like do different things outside of Vim. Don't need that. Or not outside of Vim. Do like Vim type stuff that I load as includes a supplemental to the different plugins that I have.
Is Syntaxic what you used for the like the IntelliSense kind of autocomplete?
So Deoplete and Jedi Vim are what you do that with. So like when we do import, let's see if I do, URL lib. I think this is all Jedi that's doing that in the background.
Okay.
So, and I can press Shift K if I'm on a module and I want to look at the doc string and stuff. The part, like if I want to look, okay, what does print do? I do Shift K and it'll tell me like, here's the doc for Shift K, or here's the doc string for, the random module. Here's the doc string for random.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Especially you get my age, man. You have to live with that stuff.
Oh yeah, dude.
Never
Like,
remember any of it.
I wouldn't, like, without Google and without these things, I would be lost. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. Anyway, so the WinR thing, I'm trying to find out where that is. Might be an auto load. Nope. There we go. So it says auto command file type, let run command, and then there's this split for the terminal, and it runs something in my base dir called bin build and then the file type .sh. So if I'm running a Python file type and it maps the R key to run this command that it builds up here. The dictionary is something that's a little bit different. I hardly ever use that, but I do use this auto build thing with WinR. But what this does is in the nvim directory, I have build.blah. So say I'm making a markdown. This just to give you an example. So I have stuff for all sorts of different things like MS SQL and MySQL, and some of it has like special rules that basically look into the file that I'm editing and says, oh, you have this comment in it and I want you to direct it to the SQL server. So if I was executing SQL queries, it would basically like automatically run the query on the server that I'm trying to do it with. Like it allows you to do a whole bunch of different logic with the build stuff interactively. But like, take for example, if I wanted to build a markdown file. So if I were to do vim hello .md, and this has its own, set of, snippets. So you could do like link, let's see. This is a header. This is a sub. So now when I hit WinR, oh, there we go. For some reason, it didn't capture that. But what it does, what this does, or what it's supposed to do, is open up the file in a web browser. It just removes it before.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you wanted to, you could like open up Pandoc, run it through, create a PDF, and then.
Yeah, it basically does something like that. But that was a bad example. It was actually one of the ones that I liked the most. But
I got you.
It does run it through Pandoc, and then it fires up Chromium. Let's put a sleep statement in here, because I think one of the things it does is trap. With the trap is removes it. So let's do a sleep 5. Let's try this again. That didn't open it.
Demo
oh
demon.
no! You know what? You know why? Is because my Chrome is sandboxed.
Yeah.
And I haven't run this in a while. Let's try Firefox. Yep, that's why. It's the Firefox is like what the hell, or Chrome is like what the hell, doesn't exist.
When you say sandboxed, you didn't go all Justin Stevens on it, did you? And run it on a Docker container with all these weird privileges.
No. Not quite that bad. I wonder if it's...
The man is more secure than some nation states, I swear.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Let's try it in Conquer. Oh, Conquer doesn't exist. Give me a web browser that I have on a Linux machine besides Chrome.
Firefox, Docker.
Don't worry, though.
What's that? Brave?
I don't know. I just have Firefox.
Firefox
Yeah.
does not want to fire up.
Opera. You have to install that. I'm trying to think of the other browser. What's that one that real secure when they say starts with the
Brave?
B? Brave, yeah, got the lion icon.
Yeah.
Let's see, internet.
Maybe you have Edge for Linux.
Screw it. Anyway, like basically,
I saw
you know,
it. I got the concept though. That,
yeah.
I sort of moved away from Vim because I was writing so much Markdown, and I was the attorneys. They all want to see everything nice and pretty, and in Visual Studio, I just sort of started using that, and it sort of pulled me back a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see. So like if I'm doing JSON, for example. So if I do test.json, I have a script that runs through and it'll allow me to do like linting and stuff, right? So hello world foo bar. See, and right there, it's already like it's got some linting issues, and when I try to run it, it tells me that like it's bad. Put a comma here. Still going to tell me it's bad. Remove this comma here, and it's going to be actually quote that, and it's okay. So I write horrible JSON. So what I'll do is I'll I'll load the JSON file and I run it through the the script, and if it says okay, then it should be good to go. But the linter also takes care of that. There's a plugin I have called Polygot that's pretty good about catching a lot of like other file formats and whatnot, so you don't have to install a plugin for each and every single plugin that you can think of.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah. So I can go over a lot of like the options that I have and whatnot, but they're all like customized. So what type of tabs you like, tabs versus spaces, what your tab length is. This shows me if I have white space at the end of a line. In my buffer.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah, although it doesn't seem to be working as intended here. This part right here highlights it red, or did at one point. Tabs, because I like to see tabs versus spaces. There's a handy little thing that'll let you know. It'll differentiate tabs visually.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to guess. I have different settings for different file types, like YAML. These auto commands select the file extension and then set the file type based on that. So HCL files, it'll load as Terraform file types. SQL is MySQL, MS SQL is MS SQL, PG SQL is PG SQL, so on and so forth. You can load different custom options for like Ruby file types, global variables and whatnot that your files will respect when they load. Yeah, so I really don't have much else to talk about. We got a functional environment up. Let's see. There's also health. Let's see, there's a health check command that's actually pretty good for if things aren't working quite right in NeoVim. Check health. It's lowercase. Yeah, so it'll run all the different health checks. So if your plugins have health checks, the health checks will run recursively through them, and it'll tell you if there's any problems. Yeah, see, it says DLP wants message pack. Don't know what that is, but we'll install it. Yeah, so it'll tell you if it has any errors. Probably don't want to deal with apt install. Probably. Guessing that one. Three PYM. the Googles have to say. Pet 3 install upgrade message pack. Let's see if that does it. That was it.
Well done, dude. Very educational.
So, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I'll go ahead and stop the video now so we can speak frankly if we want.